Well, peace, family. I pray that you all had a wonderful night's rest. We're back here live at the village. I just want to take a moment to say, one, thank you for the moments or the time that you'll give me here over the course of the next few minutes and sharing the most valuable resource that you have, which is your time. And also, thank you for the continued support and the things that we're doing and the efforts that we're making here in the city of Killeen, Texas. Real quickly, the purpose of this video, how to become a leader, as you all know, here 2 weeks ago, I asked if for a course of 7 days, if we could even navigate away from the use of the word leader and replace it with guide. But the purpose of this particular set of videos that we're doing here is to try to inspire better form of leadership that should be exercised in our community. Our community is devoid of leaders. Wa alaikum salam. Our community is devoid of leaders. And what we need is we need a process by which we can cultivate those skills that we need. Morning, sister. A process by which we can cultivate the skills that we need to become more effective at leading in our community. There are numerous books on leadership that exist, and some of them are very, very well articulated and authored. John C. Maxwell is an excellent author on books of leadership, and some of the principles that he sets forth, I've applied in my career with success. I have 18 years worth of experience leading in the community at large, but what I'm more so talking particularly about is leadership that must be exercised in the Black community. You see, the principles that exist inside of those books that are authored by John C. Maxwell, you must realize where he developed those skills and the grouping of people that he was working with as he was developing the skills or the principles that laid the foundation of things like the 360-degree leader or the 21 irrefutable laws of leadership. He was leading amongst a different class of people. And so I humbly assert that you cannot apply the law of the led to the people who are dead. So in order to understand that, what we need to understand is what type of leadership must be applied to individuals in our community. And I hope by sharing some of the information that we share here today that we'll be able to apply a greater or assert a greater form of leadership amongst the individuals in our community that will improve our mosques, our churches, our civic organizations, and things of that nature. And anything that you do, any field that you do. You think about it like this. Think about it like, remember back in the day, you go get a haircut and you walk in there and, you know, the barber, his hair was pristine. You know what I'm saying? So you knew kind of that what you were going to be getting out of that particular barber when you went to go get your hair cut. Or ladies, if you go to go get a stylist, you're not going to walk in to go get your hair styled by a sister and her hair is, you know, busted. Why would you trust someone to deal with you on a personal level like that and they're not manifesting those same qualities in their presence? Presence is being a key word, presence. It's likewise with leadership. The first place where leadership begins is with the individual, you know, self-leadership and the way that you conduct yourself. And when we as leaders, or like I prefer the term guide, when we are those of us who aspire to guide individuals and help them to evolve, if we haven't first applied it to ourselves, then it's going to be kind of ineffective. So we first have to look at leadership or guidance or being a guide from the internal perspective, and then as you begin to apply those principles internally, then you can have an outward degree of influence. But how do you become that? Because we seem to be under the impression that you can go to school and you can obtain a 4-year degree in any field of endeavor, and then you go and enter into the workplace. And when you enter into the workplace, by virtue of the fact that you've completed a course of study, that automatically guarantees that you should be able to exert leadership. And I humbly assert that that's absolutely not true. Like you have book knowledge, but that institutional training that you receive isn't in and of itself enough to be able to exercise leadership in any field of endeavor. I don't care if the people who you aspire to lead are less educated than you. The fact that you have an education will not automatically ensure that those individuals who you are entrusted with will follow you. That is not going to happen. So we need to come back and let's look at it. What are some of those things that we need to work on or harness in order to be able to effectively lead individuals? Well, some people are under the impression that, there are individuals who are born. And if anybody have a question as you're watching, if there's anything that I say that may sound a little off kilter and you need me to further explain, I will gladly do so. All right. I'm very well equipped in order to be able to articulate whatever I'm saying. All right. So now let's look at it. So if you are in a position and you are required to lead, what are some of those things? There are people who are under the impression that leaders are born or that you're born to lead. I will humbly suggest that since we are born, anything you are doing, you were born to do it. Right. So we're not talking about whether or not you were born or whether or not you exist or whether or not the thing that you're doing with your life, if you were born to do it, because since you were born, anything that you're doing, you were born to do. The question becomes, are you effective at doing that which you were born to do? And how do you become effective at it? Well, if the thing that you were born to do is lead, how do you become effective at leading if we don't completely understand what leadership or what guidance or what being a guide is in order to be able to manifest it with intention, with intentionally? And that's where we're having our problem. It's becoming a leader intentionally. See, you have a lot of eloquent people and you got some people that even acquire some money, but man, I'm telling you, that's not in and of itself what make you a leader. Your things don't make you a leader, right? And a lot of individuals exercise leadership without even knowing that they exercise leadership, because being a leader is not something that somebody can just assigned to you, right? You have to be able to harness these skills. So let's talk about it. What are some of the first things that you have to work on in order to become an effective leader? All right. So what I would say, the first thing that you have to work on to become an effective leader is your character. You have to have a certain type of character. And I ain't going to say that anybody needs to be perfect, because we see in our country that we have leaders and we have some very, very good leaders, and their character is not the best, right? However, they're able to exercise leadership by understanding that character matters and being able to hone in on those places where they can best cultivate that particular part of their character, right? Some of the things character-wise that we should be concerned about or that we should pay attention to is our ability to empathize, understanding what empathy is versus sympathy, having self-discipline, having the ability to get up. Like for those who may be viewing at this moment, it's 6:30 or between 6 and 6:30 in the morning. On a Saturday, most individuals are asleep, right? Because we take time or we take downs off. And when you're trying to get somewhere, you really can't take downs off. You really have to be consistent at doing those things, being consistent, those things that make up character. So here, lesson number 1, go back and study and review what is character, and then assess yourself and ask yourself, what is my particular character? What are my values? What are those things that I use to govern or structure my life and that I hold myself to? Because understanding those things will give you the ability to be most effective at doing the things that you need to do in order to be able to effectively lead people. All right. So now we got character. What are some other things that we need to understand in order to be able to cultivate? And what we're talking about right now is attributes of a leader. How to develop the attributes that will lead to being able to be effective as a leader. One of those things that will, another one of those areas I assert to you will be presence. Understanding how you conduct yourself when you move into a group of people, the energy that you bring with you when you move into a group of people, and the effect that it has when you're there. Can you do that with intention, right? And so that would be our bearing. What is our status of health, our fitness, your hygiene when you come around? Are your nails manicured? Are your teeth clean? What about your physical fitness? It's really, really hard to take instructions or guidance from someone relative to health and fitness. You go into the gym and the joker look like the Kool-Aid man. You see what I'm saying? So you got to take into consideration your presence, right? Presence is very, very, very key. Morality, you know me, I don't really even deal with people. We don't have a shared morality. And I ain't saying that you have to be perfect. I'm saying that you have to have a concept of morality that governs your existence so that way you can enter into. So, bro Fred, you absolutely correct. And I absolutely agree. Another thing, and and we'll leave it here with this for this morning, and we'll come back and we'll talk about some competencies next week, right? But the last area that I would like to deal with is our intellect, right? Cultivating and developing our intellect. And when we say intellect, we're talking about our ability to make sound decisions, our judgment. You know, how creative are we, right? Are we mentally agile? Are we do we exercise the expertise? And if we assert that we exercise the expertise, where does that expertise come from? What did we do in order to gain that degree of expertise in whatever field of endeavor that we aspire towards? Because these are some of the things that are necessary. When I was thinking about some of the information that I wanted to share here with you all this morning, I was thinking about a student that was going to school to, let's say, study architecture. Right. So you have architecture. That's a very, very difficult field of study. It's commensurate to those who are going to receive degrees in law and in medicine, actually, on the field of architecture. But imagine if that architecture student would have maybe in the summer while they were in college got a job working for a construction company. Yeah, right. So now as they're developing these illustrious plans, they can have a thorough working knowledge of what it's going to take to erect the edifices that they will potentially build. Right. It's having expertise in all of your fields of endeavor. A lot of times we just want to be in charge of people, and that's not what our community requires, because our community is in a condition where you can't just take flowery statements and then lob them at them and expect them to respond because you have went and acquired some information from a school. That's not where they find themselves at. So we come into our communities, we want to be able to build and develop our communities, but a lot of times our leaders become disheartened because we can't connect with our community because we don't understand the condition in which our community finds themselves. So we're taking information or instructions from individuals who've written books based on their experiences in their communities, but their communities haven't suffered through the oppression that our communities have suffered from. So we're ineffective as leaders because we're trying to lead based on the paradigm of individuals that don't have any clue what we're experiencing on a daily basis. And again, I say the law of the lead cannot be applied to the people who are dead. So I'm gonna leave y'all with that this morning, right? Because I want to be able to get into the habit of it myself, being able to be disciplined and being able to present to individuals those things that will be able to help us to cultivate a better understanding of how to address the condition that exists inside of our community so that we can be effective as leaders. You know, my intention for that is so that way we can see an increase in productivity amongst all of the organizations that exist inside of our community, because it's absolutely necessary. And I think if we begin that process of cultivating our own individual leadership, and then we work collectively to develop the leadership that exists within inside of our organizations, then we'll see a rise of the productivity. It's time now for us to see a rise and an increase in the productivity inside of our communities. And so let's go forward and let's work with a degree of excitement and increase the intensity. Let's work harder than ever before in order to make our communities the communities in which we would like to leave to our children, you know, once our time here is complete. So again, thank you for sharing with me the most valuable resource that you have, which is your time. Hey, so here, on homework, because I can't just be playing with y'all. I don't really too tough have time for that. So the first thing that I asked you all to do for those of us who are in leadership positions was for a period of 7 days. Instead of viewing yourself as a leader, view yourself as a guide, because the responsibility of a guide to a group of people and the responsibility of a leader to a group of people are kind of different. The responsibility of a guide is a guide has to have the ability to take you to the top of the mountain and bring you back down multiple times, where a leader can stand at the base of the mountain saying, hey, I've been up there, go. Right? No, we want to be guides. We want to be the individual who can take an individual by the hand and lead them to a place and make sure that they get there and have the experience and then return them safely every time. So instead of considering yourself a leader, consider yourself a guide. The next thing I want you to do is I want you to conduct the honest self-assessment of your character. I want you to conduct the honest self-assessment of your presence, and I want you to conduct the honest self-assessment of your level of intellect. And wherever you find a deficiency in any one of those areas after your honest self-assessment, not somebody what somebody else say, right? That comes at another point. Right now, you need to know yourself and you need to know your strengths and your weaknesses. So once you take an honest look at yourself in the face, in the mirror, and you assess where you at with your character, with your presence, with your intellectual ability, then begin the process of trying to acquire the data that's going to be necessary or required in order to be able to improve those areas. And if you don't know how to start or don't know how to do that, then at that point, contact me. You know what I'm saying? Jump in my inbox or whatever, and then I can help guide you to a place where you can acquire the information that's going to be necessary to steer you in that direction. Again, good luck with you. Good luck on your journey. Let's journey through it together, as we all want to be able to become more effective in our fields of endeavor together. Y'all be easy. Peace.